Hi, welcome to the next edition of Competitive List. Today I got 4 decks to talk about. There really hasn't been as much spice in these last few dumps. It seems like it's been really penetrated, focused on the top 2 decks in the format, which is Amalia, so Phoenix, I guess, top 3, and of course Vampires. Besides that, there seems to be a lot of scrap going around. So these decks, 2 of them which do not feature any brand new cards, but still I want to talk about them. So if you like this series, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification to order for future videos. We're on our way to 2,000 subs. Let's get there together and let's discuss these decks in detail. So first up on my list was a Soulflare deck that got a 5-0. It is playing Creeping Chill, Grizzly Salvage, Gaze, Scavenger, Mavericks from the 3 sets ago, Brutality. I wonder if this deck could play the Cash card. That might be honestly better than Collective Brutality. To be frank, the new one that's basically dig 4, take a permanent, put it into your hand. You could always grab your Soulflare with that. Or you could also grab your Scavengers with that, which is pretty decent though. I wonder if that's better than the Brutality. Besides that, Satelpa, Riverwinder, Samut, and Deep Cavern Bat, all decent cards. Have extra key abilities. The Mavericks don't really do anything other than Surveil 2. And also pumps after it goes to the graveyard, which kind of helps with Soulflare, because Soulflare can definitely get outclassed pretty relatively quick in the game. 4 mana or a 4/4 flying, is not necessarily the best stats in the world in 2024. Sideboard though, we do have a couple fatal pushes for aggro. We have Stone, like Stubborn Denial for control and stuff like that to protect our threats against sweepers, whatever. Pick your poison is there for Fate with the Mirror Breaker, Vampire, stuff like that. And Soul Artifact potentially. We have Spell Pierce to help protect our threats along with Denial in case we don't necessarily have a creature 4 or greater. It's good to have another Spell Pierce. Thoughtseize for combo and control. We have some Damping Spheres for Lotus Field and Phoenix potentially, but I don't really like Damping Sphere for that matchup. And also I don't really like it for mono green because they can go through it because I believe they still play it. So it doesn't really matter for that matchup. The End as a kind of an exile-based removal spell could get all the Vein Rippers, I guess. So that is the first deck we have to talk about. The next deck is honestly my favorite deck of the grouping, but again, it's not featuring any new cards. Let's get to that deck. So next is 5-color Humans for Pioneer. It has Experiment 1 for green and Pack Leader, or which are the best 2 green drops. It is, however, playing some Initiates, and for black, we are picking up Freebooter and Janira, which is a graveyard hate piece. We have some Knight of the Shadow for the Molly matchup on the sideboard for black as well. And Freebooter, extra copies in case we face a deck with heavy amounts of removal or something like that. Combo, that's non-creature based. We could pick off whatever they have. We have Giant Killer for a little bit of removal. 2 copies of Initiate, seems pretty low, but I guess we have Experiment 1. I guess they prefer that card over that. We have a Vanguard for a pump spell. We have Thalia's Attendant. Only 3 copies? Okay, that seems okay, I guess. Thalia, 3 copies. Delays rafts, anything like that. 3 Adelines also, with 3 Kite Sail Larcenous. And also Mantis Rider, which is the best human, which is just so sweet. That's probably the card I like the most. And of course, we have Coco and Extraction Specialist in case we face heavy amounts of removal. If we need more removal, however, we do have some more cards. Kite Sail Larcenist. If we face decks that we need, let's have Brutal Cathar down there. If we need to stop combo a lot more, we have Spellbinder plus Thalia. We can bring them in. We have Lavinia in case we need to stop rafts, anything like that. It's pretty good against Lotus Field, blue-white Lotus Field. And also, I think maybe even traditional stock Lotus Field. We have a little bit more graveyard hate in Genera. But that is our 5-color Human deck. This is one of those decks, like I said, it's not really featuring any new cards, but honestly, out of all of the lists, it's definitely the sweetest list. I am now offering Patreon and locals content exclusive that includes sideboard guides, budget guides, exclusive videos, as well as other types of content. If you want to check out the link, it's in the description. Now, let's get back into the video. Let's get into the next list. It's Phoenix. Even though I'm not a huge fan of Phoenix, and it's kind of dull in my opinion, it's one of the most longest standing decks in the format. And honestly, it's always there. So it's kind of, to me, it's always just, whatever, go to the next one. What I find interesting about this is everyone is saying, okay, you need to ban Picklock Prankster. Because, this deck, we got to leave Treasure Cruise in the format. Guess what? This deck isn't even playing Picklock Prankster, and he got a 5-0. So, what are you trying to accomplish here? For some reason, this deck is playing Galvanize, but maybe that's okay. But it's not playing any Axes, which is kind of weird. This deck, instead of playing Picklock Prankster, is playing Artist's Talent. Ironically, it's kind of sweet. So every time you cast a non-creature spell, you could discard a card and draw a card. And then, of course, you could pay 3 mana into it, and you just literally just keep discounting all your spells. So Treasure Cruise costs cheaper. Galvanize costs 1 red. And yeah, so it's kind of sweet. But I find it interesting, though, like I said, we're not playing Picklock Prankster in this deck at all. So I think it's less dependent on the graveyard. The weird thing about this is Artist Talent isn't really utilizing the last mode in this deck. Because we can't really win by burn damage. Of course, we can kill our opponent's threats with Galvanize, Fiery Impulse, Temper, Torch the Tower, one of down there with Spikefield Hazard. So, and those can kill threats. I mean, Spikefield Hazard for 3 damage seems kind of reasonable. But besides that, like I said, there's a lot missing, I think, in this deck to make Artist Talent, the last mode, really, really good. But we're playing 4 copies of Spell Pierce. I thought most of them were playing 2, so it's interesting that they're playing 4. Sideboard, we have 3 Tears of Valakut for the Vampire matchup, which hopefully that gets banned, so we don't have to keep playing this bad card. We have a Negate for non-creature spells against Control, whatever. Iconoclast, 4 copies in case we face a deck that wants to have Graveyard Hate. We could probably cut our Phoenixes, go up those. Or even the Treasure Cruises, depending on what happens. 3 Anger of the Gods for aggro decks. 2 Ashioks for Graveyard Hate / Incarnation Hate. Anything that can search their library for something. 2 Disputes if we need a little bit more counter magic against blue-based strategies. And a Brotherhood Inn if you need to destroy a bunch of artifacts, which is relevant now because Golgari Food. And also, I mean, we could always just blow up the board for small creatures. Which, like I said, Brotherhood Inn might be honestly really good right now because of the fact that Golgari Food is such a dominant deck. So I'm actually thinking about start adding it by default to my sideboards because that deck seems to be very strong. So that is it Phoenix with Artist's Talent. I get it. To me, it's not that sweet. Normally, I don't talk about these kind of decks, which is why I'm not talking about that mono white mid-range pile. It bores me. So I'm not talking about it. So basically, I guess if you're wanting to play Phoenix and I have to face you playing Phoenix, try this one. Because I rather you play this one and be a little bit more spicy and cool than the other version. I know I'm gonna get some flock in this comment section. If you really don't like me saying that, let me know in the comments. Let's get into the last list. So last on my list is a deck that basically got ported over from Standard. It's the best deck in Standard. So I guess I think, well, you could do it in Pioneer and get a 5-0 with it. I guess that's true. So this deck, what does it gain by coming to Pioneer? We get Kalitas. We get Thoughtseizes, which is pretty good magic. Fatal Push, because it's just the best premium removal spell in the format. And we get Graveyard Trespasser, because, Phoenix is still a valuable deck. So we need to be able to answer it. Of course, since we are coming into Pioneer, we need Knights of Dust Shadow, 4 copies on the board, because Amalia is just a poison to the format. So we have to play this mediocre card to address that matchup. It's also pretty good, keep in mind, for the Angel matchup. If that ever comes up, pick your poisons. Good against vampires. Also against... it's really good against spirits, because they can't technically protect it. So that's kind of nice. And even angels. So 2 duresses, pretty good. As well for combo, control, stuff like that. 3 extinction events because mono green is a deck again. Additional cut down in case we need additional 1-drop removal for aggro matchups. With the extinction events, 2 hearses in the board for the Phoenix matchup. In case they're playing Artist's Talent, we need to get rid of their graveyard. And then we have Liliana the Veil, an extra copy against the control matchup and the combo matchups. Even good against Vein Ripper to a certain extent. So we could just play it after they go Sorin, Vein Ripper, Liliana, make you sack. But even then, that was still a massive hit for us. But you got to do what you got to do, because Pioneer is a format. So, if you like this kind of content, I'm sure you let me know down in the comment section. If I made you upset, let me know that as well. If you want me to give you my take on this BNR announcement, let me know down in the comment section, because I might make it before the BNR itself. Because I do have some ideas on what I think would be best for the format. But yeah, let me know all that down in the comment section. Which one of these decks would you like me to see me play through a league or whatever? Let me know all that as well down there. And until next time, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.